Banana. Let's see, change this to live chat. There we go. What was that? What was that? All right, so we changed the top chat. Now where do we go? I'm having like I'm drawing a blank here. All right, when we go here, click this, mute it, pause it, copy. Then we go to the Discord. Go to Discord. We are live on YouTube. Come hang out at everyone. Send it. Paste it. There, that's up. All right, now we got one more spot right there. All right. Oh, fuck off. Paste it. Click it. All right, that's a. Fuck, I got some sun yesterday. In that fucking profile picture, I look, fucking face looks a little red. All right, so close that. That's good. That's good. All right, we're starting to get some people in here. Still on live chat. All right, good there. All right, let's see who's all here. Let's scroll. I think we can do our little name reading here. All right, hey, what up, School Crop? Got the first comment in there. Congrats, first place. We got Troy, Walter, Sasha, WR450, Thomas, Asthmatic Zebra. I remember that name. That's great. Rich, 85 Bluesman, Eric, Nate C, Walter. I already said you, Walter. You got me say it twice. It's Ragnarok Big Stretcher. It can be. Medshed 421. What's up, GT? I got the Dougie and I'm loving it. Woo, buddy. The only people that got the Dougies are the ones that won them. So don't think like, I got one sitting right here. So don't think like the orders from the drop went out. He won one. Because besides me, there's only 6 other people on the planet that have this right now, and that was the winners from the 420 stream. So I'm glad you got it. What's up, Andrew? Florida Frost. We got a Spartan Shield on there. I like it. What's up, Gary? Jeremy, Circus, Canna, Daddy-O, Floyd, Goblin, Dogbone, Troy, GT. Best way to measure ppm in the runoff. What should it be? Week 5 flower. I'd like to give you guys black and white answers, but it's going to depend on the size of the plant. So if I've got a plant I got one plant taking up an entire 4x4, my runoff where I want it to be on week 5 is going to be a lot different than if I have 5 plants that are a lot smaller in the 4x4. So if I had, 6 plants in a 4x4, they're obviously not nearly as big. If I've got 6 plants in there, then I don't want the runoff numbers should be right around in week 5, like 12 to 1300-ish. If you're a little bit more, it's not a big deal. But that's kind of like the area I'm aiming for, because at week 6, I want them to be right around 1,000. And then if they're at 1,000 on week 6, and generally around 350 ppm per week, then week 7, they're going to be at like 600-700, and then week 8, when we're getting ready to chop them down, this is for an 8-week grow. Week 8, when I'm getting ready to chop them down, they're going to be right around like the 400 ppm mark, which is where I'm going to chop mine. And then I didn't have to flush. I didn't have to do anything like that. Just natural progression. Oh, what up, Nick? What's up, buddy? We had a call the other day. Always great talking to you, bud. Dude, I don't know if you guys understand this. I love talking to you guys on the phone whenever we do our calls. Like, I have reminders that go off the hour before and 10 minutes before each of the calls. And let's see if I can bring my calendar up here. No, that's got information on it. I can't show that. It's got some people's info on there. We're gonna be like, you doxed me, gave out my phone number. But like my calendar is just full of calls, and every time that alarm goes off, I'm like, I get to hang out with somebody. It's gonna be great. Oh, let's see here. But like, if I had a big plant, let me get back on track. Focus, GT. If I had a bigger plant, I might want in week 5, I want it to be around 1700 ppm because it's a bigger plant. So like my really big plants, some of them would eat like 700 to 900 ppm per week. Well, if I was only at 1200 ppm on week 5 and the plant was eating 700 ppm a week, so just like double the size, obviously got to consume more. And I was only at 1200, that wouldn't be enough. I would need to pump those numbers. Those are rookie numbers, as they say. I would have to pump those numbers up. And it's just one of those things you have to think about. You have to kind of take that into consideration. It's one of the reasons I'll measure how much the plant eats per week. So I can kind of figure out by week 5, hey, this plant eats about 250 ppm per week. I know if I'm at 1200, plenty. On the other hand, if I got a plant like, man, this plant's a heavy feeder, it eats 400 ppms per week. And I'm like, I'm only at 1200. It's going to get really tight there towards the end. It's just one of those things. Or if you had really big plants like I do sometimes, I was having to feed them 1700 ppms like every 2 days, then every 3 days, just based on the way the waterings were working. Hey, what's up, Peter Havens? Welcome. I'm glad you're here. You've just found the best place for new growers. I'm actually catching a live video. Hey, what up, Jimmy B? What's good, Gromies? What's up, Aaron? What's up, Light? What's up, Cobra? What's up, Dylan? Hello, Lindsay. Smoking. Peter. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the channel, Peter. Glad to have you here, brother. We talk about if you have any canna-related questions, that's what we're here for. And don't be like, I don't want to text this. I don't want to put this in the chat. I'll be super embarrassed. I promise you, there is no question that you're thinking about asking, like, what's the right pot size, or how many plants should I have in this size tent? There's no judgments here. This is a judgment-free zone. We're like Planet Fitness. You ask any question you want. You're never going to get bullied about it. This is literally a channel dedicated for brand new growers. And we got some really good growers here because they like to follow along with the kind of stuff that I do, and it works really, really well. You can literally go back through my videos for a decade, and the plants, all giant colas, super frosty, every single tent, no matter what genetics, the results are always the same. Let's see. Best to piece them together. Kits are more expensive. Yeah, I've always found that too. Like, you think you're saving money by buying like one of those kits, and they generally more freaking expensive than if you would have just bought the individual pieces you wanted. I think they like charge people more. Just those kits are really made for new people. No grower that's been around a while is ordering one of those kits, generally because we got entire basements full of equipment. But they put those kits together for people that don't know any better. They put those kits together for people that don't know any better is basically what it is. And they actually end up overcharging you. And usually it's like really cheap lights, or, they throw like a bunch of like crap. Like here, actually, I think it's right over here. Yeah. So they'll throw a box or something together, kind of like this. I didn't pay for this. This was a sponsored thing. But they'll ship you like a box like this. So you think you're getting all this like really cool stuff. I mean, gloves. You don't need freaking gloves. You don't need freaking planting tools. This is just garbage they're throwing in the box. And as a new person, you see all this and you're like, holy cow. You're like, look at all this stuff I'm getting. It's all garbage. It's all garbage. You don't need freaking gloves for this. I mean, you can wear them if you want. You don't need them. These little tiny humidity, you don't need this. You don't need any of this crap. So, I mean, the syringe, okay, but they give you one. There's one grow bag in here. And this box actually weighs a pretty good freaking amount. You got one bag, trash, a huge box of gloves. What are you going to do with this? What do you need these for? I like my fingers get all sticky. You got two little bottles of nutrients in here. This will actually last you quite a while. It's a base and a flour. This is a 142, kind of mild, and a 401. So this will be like good for growing autoflowers. It's pretty weak. Oh, and then they stuck a fucking brick of cocoa in here. That's where all the weight was coming from. Yeah, like planting tools. What a bunch. This is like some 3D printed crap. What do you need this for? Look at these things. What is this, for ants? I mean, this is literally so you can make your hole for the seeds. Get a pin. So what they do is they market this stuff to new people that don't know any better, because no grower in their right mind is ever buying this crap. It's trash. And this, I don't know about this cocoa. I mean, this looks not great. I don't know. Little tiny humidity domes. You don't need any of this stuff. So they market this stuff anyway. They market this stuff to new people that don't know any better. And you would actually end up, if you would pay more for this, like, because they put it together for you, and all they're doing is getting rid of garbage. I mean, I will keep that 3-gallon pot, but that's about all I'd keep out of that thing. Oh, let's scroll back up. I was on a rant there for a while. Dog bone? No, not usually. Check for light leak, brother. The calls are worth it for sure. Yeah, if you were looking for calls, like let's say you're a new person and you're like, I'm just too, I don't want to put my question up here in the group chat. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to talk about it. I actually have a website you can go to, WTTGT. I'm sure you can figure out what to put after that, but we don't put any links up, and nor do I save them. You can go over to WTTGT. I'm sure if you did some kind of function, you could find it. And sign up for a membership. Then you get to do video calls just like this, one-on-one, privacy, nobody else looking at your questions. And I get to look at your plants in real time and help you out. So if you want to do that. It's also some really cool other benefits. Squirrel. That's literally me to a T. Thanks. You answered my question. Plants are starving. Plants are about 3 foot tall. Last runoff was, yeah, dude, you're running out. That's actually going to cost you. They're actually going to start turning on their leaves here if they haven't already. Good evening, Jeffrey Jackson. GT, have you grown in cocoa? Yeah. So the whenever I do like my torture chamber runs, I grow in cocoa because I can be a little bit more evil to them. Whenever I'm trying to, like, I'll put the plants through a torture chamber before I kind of send out the stuff to everybody, just to see what kind of limits I can push before they'll start to herm. So we do a torture chamber. The colas still always look fantastic, though. Why don't we continue to use Clonex in flower to continue to help root growth? By that time, the root zone's pretty established. And we're mainly concerned. Once again, these plants don't do very good multitasking. It's just one of those things where by the time you're in flower, your root ball should be solid as a rock. Like if I'm going into flower, I can generally just peel the pot off the plant. Pretty sure I could get charged with assault with a deadly weapon if I hit somebody with the root ball of the plant. I mean, it's a solid mass by that point. So I don't really think it would be advantageous. I think it would just be a waste of money because that stuff's not cheap. None of this stuff is cheap, and if you don't have to keep using it, just like you can keep feeding them nitrogen all throughout the grow, it's not going to hurt anything. It's just going to waste money because the plant's not looking for it after week, 4-ish, because weeks 1 through 3 of flower, they're in the stretch. And then week 4 is a transition week. And then weeks 5 through week 7 of flower is the bulk. Well, after week 3 of flower, the stretch, you give them a little bit kind of like a tailored off of nitrogen for like that transition week of week 4. But into week 5, I mean, the manufacturers don't even call for it. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things like, can you do it? Sure, you could do it. Is it going to hurt anything? Not in minimal amounts, but it's also not going to help anything either. And one of the reasons that a lot of times that we start growing is because it's really expensive whenever we go to the dispensaries, or it's really expensive getting it from a plug. You know, not that any of us would ever do that. We're all, you know, straight laced by the book, you know. So it's one of those things where if we're trying to save money, or you might have other reasons you like doing it, maybe you don't trust what those places are doing to their weed. You know, guilty. I don't trust how people are growing their stuff. That's why one of the reasons I like to grow it. And plus, too, it's super expensive when you go to the dispensary. You don't know what's going on there. You know, like for here, if you go get an eighth, you go get 3.5 grams. It's $71 whenever you check out at my dispensary that's closest to me. It's fucking crazy. And they have calmed down a little bit because there's been whatever that is. The camera does not like it. Come on, calm down, camera. What has happened? We've been washed out. There we go. There we go. Holy cow. Thought I was in a sun flare for a second. I forgot what I was talking about. I was probably done talking about it anyway. Awesome. Just started 3 autos in 3-gallon pots. When do you start the runoff process, and how much water does it take to reach 10 to 20%? Where do I start with this? So you're going to water that plant till runoff. Generally, I'll tell you, Peter, generally we like to start in a smaller pot. Now, I know you're starting with an auto, so you want to start closer to you want to start in your final pot. And I get it. And will it work? Yes, it will work. The challenge is going to be on your end. And the challenge is going to be for you not to overwater. I would recommend, I've got about, probably 10 videos on like the perfect watering schedule for canna plants, or stop watering your canna plants. I don't say canna, it spells out the whole word. I just can't say the whole word a lot, or else I get in trouble. I would recommend going to watch some of my videos, because you'll get a lot more out of watching the videos, because I'll do like actual demonstrations of the watering and how to look at the runoff. And they're like 20-minute videos each. And so you'll get a lot more from those dedicated videos that I've put up on it. I've got a ton on overwatering. It's kind of like our main thing here on the channel. And especially since you're dealing with an autoflower, they are extremely temperamental when it comes to the amount of water that you're going to give them. Yes, they do flip by flower by themselves. I know. It's everybody's favorite part. But I will tell you, you're going to have to be very careful with it. So I would just check out some of my videos. I got like 700 or 750 videos on my channel. Just type in water, and you'll probably get a whole bunch on my page. And they give you a ton of stuff. Dogbone, I've shipped everything out for the 420. If you don't have it by now, just send me a message. I'll just send you another one. Ooh, smoking on that Magic Candy Mountain OG. What's up, baby? What's up with the new strain names? You picked the winners yet? I've got a good idea. I've got a good idea for the winners. I want to get the cash drop out before. I want to get the cash drop out before we talk about it. But I've got a really cool idea for the next drop. We've never done anything like it before, and I just want to get this drop shipped out to everybody. I don't like talking about the new drop before the old drop, before the last drop has gone out. I don't like that. I like talking about, like, if we're talking about planning stuff, we'll talk about what we're doing in the future, but I don't like talking about the immediate next drop once before this drop, if anybody's even got their hands on it yet. I don't like it. So we got something really, really cool. Yo, GT, dang. Browning they're browning so bad. Looks like mercy. Yeah, they're starving. So what you have to remember is whenever you're looking at those fan leaves are, besides the main part of the plant that's driving most of the photosynthetic cells, is on top of those fan leaf structures. Now the whole plant can actually do it, but the main function of those fan leaves is driving photosynthesis. Well, the other one of their minor roles is they act like a reserve fuel tank for your plant. Well, if what they are not finding what they are looking for in the soil, which is where they mainly go to eat, they are going to turn to their fan leaves and they are going to start consuming them, because the plant uses that as, it's a reserve fuel system. It's like you're lost in space. Oh, we found some, the regular meals are gone, but we got this pantry full of beef jerky over here. Well, we can either starve to death or we can start eating all this beef jerky. And it's just, that's what the plant's doing. So it'll prioritize feeding itself over maintaining a pretty canopy. Now, this is to its own detriment, because it's trying to bank that it won't consume all of its fan leaves before you decide to feed it again, or till the roots reach out and find more food. So that's what it's banking on. Now, if you don't feed it, the plant's going to consume all of its leaves and then it's going to die. But if you feed it before then, it'll stop consuming so much of the leaves and start eating what's in the soil again. Yeah, exactly. Dispensary stuff only lasts 30 minutes and then you need more. Yeah, and it's super freaking expensive. Like, I mean, every time I cut down my 4x4, I'm like, hey, look, another pound. And I got a bunch of 4x4s, and I got 6x4s, I got 5x5s, I got a ton of 2x4s. We got a 4x8. We got all kinds of tents. So imagine. GT. Oh, I love talking about mother plants. GT, can you touch on how you can go about rejuvenating some older mother plants? Now, when you say rejuvenating, do you mean just getting them to liven up? Because you've probably come to the wrong place if you want to talk about old mother plants. Generally, I don't keep the mother plants around longer than like 6-ish to 8 months, kind of on the top of the scale, just because I don't like how big of a pain in the butt they start to become to deal with. They get super dense and you got to start chopping leaves out. You got to constantly thin them out. And I mean, you're in a 10-gallon pot, and then you're in a 10-gallon pot and they start eating so much food because they're such big, dense plants. Generally, I keep them around only like 6 months. I've gotten quite a few cuttings of clones off of them. And generally, I'll just bring one of those clones up and turn it into a new mother plant that's way easier to manage than dealing with a year-old mother. I just don't like dealing with those big mother plants like that. They get to become so much of a hassle, and you have to put so much like work into them to keep them in a healthy state. I would much rather just take clones and bring up one of the clones and ditch that mother plant, and then have a more manageable one. I like my mother plants about this big around and about this freaking tall, and then I can just take like 20 cuttings off the top of it, and then the plant stays. And that canopy kind of grows up with it, and you constantly take the top off of it, so the canopy never gets big. The canopy just stays like this big, and then you clear it off the bottom, and it just kind of looks like one of those little ornate bushes where you've got this nice flat canopy that you can constantly just take clones off of. And then honestly, after they get about 4 foot tall, I'm completely done with this as a plant, because that's generally where they start turning in to nightmares as a mother plant, and they start requiring way more attention than I want to give them. Lost my job, lost my membership, but I'll be back next month. I'll be right here waiting for you, brother. I love you, Smoking Joe. Dude, a lot of the 420 orders, they don't go out with tracking, so we have about a 60% failure rate on them as far as whenever you're sending stuff out in just an envelope with no tracking. It's one of those things where the things we're shipping and just plain envelopes don't work very well. So I never charge you guys anything for shipping. So just send me a message if your stuff never showed up, and I'll just send you some more. It's not like I don't have enough. How mad was the wife when she found the mystery plant? She wasn't actually mad. She thought it was kind of funny. The Princess GT was actually the one that pointed it out. She's like, Mom, that plant looks like Dad's plants. She's like, it does look like Dad's plants. It's actually getting to be kind of a monster. I still have it in the living room, just growing. It's had no tint. It's had no dominant light over the top of it, just growing in the window. I've done nothing but pour grow dots in it one time, and it gets water. I've never pH'd from the faucet. I've been completely hands off. It's growing like crazy. It's growing like crazy. And it was in old dirt that one of my wife's house plants were in. It's rather ridiculous how easy, like I've been using those grow dots just for that plant, and it's growing fantastically with no care from me whatsoever. This just goes to kind of prove my point where if you get the watering down with these plants, it's almost impossible to fuck them up after that. Once you get the watering down with these things thrive in, somewhat harsh conditions. It's a weed. It's a weed. It's not a flower that you got to delicately take care of all the time. That thing's sitting in front of the window, and it's this big around. It's got tops everywhere on it. It's fantastic. I can't wait to do a video on it and just be like, I have been this thing has lived a life of neglect. I've literally just fed it, put those grow dots in it, top dressed them in the top 2 inches in some dirt old soil. And it's a monster. Might be the genetics. I don't know. Could have a small part to play in it. AGT, do you have any experience? We don't use the S word. I know what you're saying. So you don't have to use the S word. If so, what are your opinions on the cultivars? I do not have any experience with them, but I will check them out. I do not have any experience with them, though. I thought the tips kind of turned brown and thought I was overfeeding, so I didn't feed for 2 weeks. Yeah, so it kind of tricked you. What it'll do is, what happens is you think that you're overfeeding, and what happens actually is the plant's pulled all the nutrients, except for the stuff it doesn't want, out of the soil. So then what happens is the plant's just looking for anything. So they'll start pulling hyper amounts of stuff they don't even want out of the soil. Maybe they were like, oh, listen, there's a ton of phosphorus in here. We don't want any of it, but we're not getting any food. So it'll actually suck all the whatever it can find. And if it's too much phosphorus, it'll actually burn the tips. And you're like, oh, crap, the tips are burning. I'm actually overfeeding. But you weren't checking the runoff, so you didn't realize that you were actually not overfeeding. The plant, it just started pulling up every nutrient it could find in there, and then it burned its tips by pulling up the wrong nutrient that it was wanting because you were starving it and forcing it to eat stuff it didn't want. So you will cause tip burn. Followed directly behind that will come a fade, and you'll start getting rust spots all over the leaves. The leaves will start to turn yellow. Everything will start to turn brown, and it tricked you into thinking that you were overfeeding when it wasn't. It was just pulling more stuff out of the soil that it didn't actually want, and it caused it to burn its own leaves because you were killing it. It was dying because it was starving to death. So it was like trying to do anything it could. It'd be like if you were lost at sea. There's tons of water around you, but drinking that salt water, your body actually has to burn more water to process the salt out of it to get it out of your body. That's why you can drink salt water and it doesn't alleviate your thirst, because you're bringing all that salt in. Your body actually has to use water to expel and pee out all that salt that you just drank. That's why it doesn't work. The same thing is happening in this case. Happy Memorial Weekend. Yeah. Thank you to the sacrifices for all of our troops. Memorial Weekend. Remember what the weekend is actually about, but I get the sentiment. Are you still using the turbo cloner? Dude, I have 2 turbo cloners that run 24/7, 7 days a week, 365. They never turn off because I'm constantly pheno hunting through my 2x4s. I got literally a wall of 2x4s that the clones just constantly go into. It's one of the ways I can speed up my pheno hunting process because I have just 24/7 the turbo cloners are going. About once every 6 months, I got to start switching out the little nozzles because they get clogged and then they don't spray adequately, and I'll have like sections of plants that will die. So put a member. I'll put one up tomorrow. I'll put a picture of Ragnarok, the Ragnarok living room plant. I'll put a picture of it up tomorrow. It's cool looking. Hey GT, hope your day is going beautiful. I hope your day is going beautiful, bro. Thank you. Yep, it's all about the water finesse. It is, man. It's 100%. Like, it's one of the reasons that I think I stress so much about, like, whenever I'm talking about watering of these plants, because as soon as you can get the watering down, now it's not saying you can't kill them. You can still do it, but they become so much more resilient to everything that you put them through. The second you get the watering down, it makes, like, you're going to finish. You might overfeed too much and, you know, really fuck the yield up or fuck the taste of the yield up. But it's one of those things where it is so difficult to not finish once you get these watering. You're going to get bud. So yeah. There was a second part to that question for taking clones. And do you use the Mondydome, or do you just use? I use both. So usually, if I'm in the Mondydome, it's seed starting, just because the turbo cloners work so well for the clones. So if I have the clones in the Mondydome, generally they're in there for about 17 to 23 days. If I put them in the turbo cloner, I can take them out as early as 12. Kind of like where I like to take them out is between like 12 and 15 days. If I leave them in there for 17 days, the roots have gotten so long, they're all tangled together and in my pump in the bottom of it. Bella will be coming up soon. I just heard her pull the gate down. And how did I know it? How did I know you were coming up as soon as I heard that gate crash? She's a bulldog and a jackass. And bulldog, she rams the gate with her head to knock it down so she can come upstairs. Hey, what are you doing? Did you knock the gate down? Yeah. She heard me talking up here, smashed the gate with her big fat bulldog head, and then ran up the stairs. Yeah, I'm talking to you. She just laid down on top of the stairs. She's like, oh, Dad's mad. Magic Candy Mountain OG is a food hog. Yeah, generally if you have the food hog, you probably have the cotton candy pheno because it eats like crazy. Cheers, Can family. Kevin, thanks. Cannot wait for the triple order for the new drop. Nice. Place my order on May 9th. Hey, Jefferson, place your order on May 9th. Hey, brother, this was a pre-sale. So all of the orders from the day the store went live on May 2nd, the store closed on May 11th. So all the orders, this was a pre-sale. So all the orders come in because the orders go so crazy. We can't stock the store with that much stuff. So all the orders come in. The store closed on the 11th. I put the order in for the shirts and stickers on the 12th or 13th. Generally, it takes them about 3 weeks-ish to make all the shirts. This was our biggest drop ever. So it might take up to 4 weeks to get this many shirts made. And then it takes me about 2 weeks to get all the orders shipped out because I do it all myself. So this was a pre-sale. It said on all of the things, it said this is a pre-sale on it for that reason. So the first orders should start going out around the first week of June would be my guess. So don't be stressed. None of the orders have shipped out yet. You crazy man. You just read my Grow Like a Book. Thanks for helping me learn. Hey, Troy. That's because I've been doing this for a long time. I always have fantastic success. I don't know what it is. I can read the plants very well. And I talk to so many growers that I generally have seen every kind of problem that there is. I do about 40-ish consults every single week. So if you've got a problem with your plant, generally I've seen it about 8,000 times. So it's not too big of a deal. But that's what I'm here for, brother. Ragnarok is getting popped when this run gets finished. So excited for that one. You use cash and not PFG for the collab. Correct. You guys actually voted on that. I had a PFG Super Great Mother, and then I had a Cherry Atomic Sledgehammer Mother, and I let you guys pick. We put a poll up. You guys voted that. That's what won. How long do you keep using Epsom salt for your plant? So Epsom salt, you guys don't know, is just magnesium sulfate or sulfur, whichever version you prefer. It's just magnesium sulfur. They sell it in a product, or you can use things like Epsom salt. Epsom salt would just be the granular version, whereas things like Botanicare Sweet, Flora Nectar, or Bud Candy are the liquid version, and they're touch more expensive than using the granular version of just Epsom salt, but they are the exact same product. When you're using Epsom salt for your magnesium sulfur, the only weeks you're going to be using it for, you will use it from the start of week 4 through the end of week 7. That is the only time frame that you're using it, because before that you will be using your Cal Mag product. As you notice, there's a common word that both these products share: Cal Mag, which is calcium and magnesium, and then is your Mag Sulfur product, which is magnesium. We just saw that again over in the Cal Mag part. So what that says is, whenever you're doing these plants, they need food, which is your NPK, your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And then they also need some supplements while you're doing this. That would be like calcium and magnesium and sulfur. The calcium is what the Cal Mag calcium you will use from the start of veg through the end of week 3 flower. You will use that product. At the end of week 3 flower, you will take your Cal Mag and you will put it on a different shelf, and you will replace it by grabbing your Mag Sulfur or your Epsom salt bottle and stick it in its place. You do not feed these things at the same time. You do not need to, because you will just be wasting money. Because when the plant is in week 1 of veg through the end of week 3 of flower, focus, GT. So when it is in that time period, it wants the calcium and the magnesium. It does not need the sulfur yet. The sulfur is for when the plant is in its bulking phase. When it's in veg, that is the vegetative stage. Branches are growing. You're in the grow phase. You do not need the sulfur, but you need the calcium. So the calcium, great for there. But what you notice is mag's in both. The plant wants mag at the entire grow. It wants it from the start of week 1 veg. It wants it through the end of week 7 flower. So you will use a magnesium product the entire time. The only thing you're switching out is the calcium for the sulfur. Why do they want to switch out? Well, the plant's no longer growing like this up. It's out of the growing phase. It's went through its stretch. It's went through into its transition, and now it's in its bulking phase. And the exact same thing that happens to us if we consume too much salt, what happens? We retain water. It is the exact same thing that happens to this plant when they are in their bulking phase. You switch out the calcium, replace it with the sulfur product. The plants are holding that sulfur into them, which helps them swell their buds with water. The buds get bigger. It means it catches pollen easier that's flying through the air. There's more surface area for pollinators to land and bring them the pollen that they want. That is the entire purpose of this. All right, off my soapbox. What GT? What's the smallest pot size you would recommend for a sea of green? Butt chugging, setting in the trays. Any tips growing sea of green? Yeah, we've grown sea of green a few times. Generally, I always use 1 gallon pots. I don't like putting them in solo cups for a whole army of solo cups. Nightmare. I generally will do all of them in 1 gallon pots. Remember, the biggest thing is when you're doing sea of green, there is no training. You're looking for just one cola. If you pinch the tops off, if you low stress train them, that is not how you properly do a sea of green. Sea of green is you just let the plant come straight up. You keep it in veg for a super short amount of time, like 1 to 2, and it's basically 2.5 weeks. And then you flip it, because you don't want the plant branching out. You just want the one main cola, and that's it, because you have a lot of plants, so you don't need the branching. The reason we want more branching, we have fewer plants, because they cover more area in the tent. But generally, I will run them all in 1 gallon pots. 3 gallon pots, you start taking up too much area underneath the net, and you don't get to have as many colas in as if you put just them all in 1 gallon pots. But remember, you're also doing a super short veg time, to make up for it. So you have to run a lot of plants, but you get a super short veg time, which means you get the flower quicker. But your workload goes up because you have so many plants to take care of. So it's a trade-off. Does GH3 part have a shelf life after open? Yes, they actually do, but you can extend that shelf life by shaking them regularly. So what will happen is if you have your GH3 part and you leave it sitting on a shelf and you don't use it very often, which we don't because they eat the food out of the soil that we give them, since we give them pre-amended soil with the Fox Farms, it'll start to separate and you'll actually see this like white cloudy layer that forms at the bottom. That's all the nutrients coagulating into like a white disc, and it's just, you can like crack it, break it apart, looks like salt that's all hard in the bottom. They actually separate. If they start to do that, it's trash. Or if you have stuff, you like shake it, all those fluids should be crystal clear. They shouldn't have any gunk floating in it or anything like that. You start to see that stuff in there, it's done. Pitch it. That's why we never dip our stylets into our grow bottles unless it's a brand new stylet. Even then I don't really like doing it unless you got a perfectly brand new one, because if you dipped it in this one and then you set it down on your table and then you put it in another one, it'll start growing stuff in there. We don't mix the stylets from one bottle to the next, and then I always just pour my stuff in like a little solo cup and then draw up out of that. Dude, I've been talking 41 minutes already. Holy fuck. I've been on too many rants tonight. I was like, oh, we like 15 minutes into the stream? No, 42. Any idea when the MCM MOG 2.0 will be ready? Can't wait. I talked to Chris a few months ago about it, and we got the go ahead because I had the two different mothers of it. I had a cotton candy pheno mother, and then I had one that was kind of like lemony, earthy, but had citrus kind of twist to it. So it was like a little bit of a twist on his Chill Out OG. But I was like, I think we should go with the cotton candy pheno. It turns bright pink. It smells like cotton candy. I think it goes with the name of the genetics very well. He was in complete agreement with me. He's like, yeah, got my blessing. Go forward on to generation 2 of it. And so it is not. Where's my paper at? I got a whole list of it written down for drops. I don't know. That's probably. It's probably like October is what I'm shooting for on that one, because I'm trying to go through, like, I've got a bunch of clones of it going downstairs right now, and then I'll put a bunch of those clones into the 2x4s. I think I have 36 clones of it downstairs, and then I'll grow it all up and make sure I isolate the pheno. Then I'll have to take those, turn them into a mother, and then cross them. So probably October is what we'd be shooting for. Yeah, school crop. That is correct. That is exactly how you would do a Sea Green. I always fudge it by giving them 2 weeks because I don't know how good of a grower new people. I'm assuming they're new because they're asking questions about like how to do a Sea of Green. So I would assume that they are a newer grower. So I always give them 2-week kind of buffer because I don't want to tell them 7 days and they're not there yet. But that is the way School Crop just described. He says, Thomas, I do clones as soon as they rooted. They go into 1-gallon pots. I give them 7 days. Then I flip. That is the correct method. But if you're a brand new grower, 7 days might be a little bit quick for you. But the trick is you don't want them to branch. You want straight up one main cola. What do you pH your cloner water to? What do you add to your water? How do you covers for the cloners? I don't do any covers on the cloners unless I was in like a super, like let's say I was in the middle of winter. Actually, I don't even run them then because they're getting constant spray. I don't put the sprayer on the bottom on a timer. I just let it constantly run. So there's not a timer kicking it on for 15 minutes, keeping it off for 15 minutes. Mine just runs 24, just runs.
but I don't put any cover on the top of it. What do I do to the water? I change the water out once a week. If for pH, I'm somewhere between 5.5 and like 6.5. I don't get too crazy with it. I usually try to keep it more towards the fives, but I'm not very religious with it. Do I do anything to it? No, I just add some. The only things I do to it is Clonex, solution, and I don't even measure it. I literally just take the bottle and fill the cap up and then dump it in the water reservoir. And then I do Clonex rooting gel. I just dip it once a week when I change the water out. I re-dip them into the blue gel. The water sprayers spray it off. It all rains down into the sprayers, and then it constantly is drenching the roots with it. When I do it that way, when I take them out of there and put them into a turbo cloner, generally I have roots in about 9 days. 12 days, the roots are, this freaking long. If I wait 17 days, the roots are so long, they're tangled together at the bottom. I usually have to cut everything apart because they all start getting tangled, pulled up into the motor. Our tents in the bedroom, when we gave flour, it smells so good. I love it. Hey, what up, D18? Yeah, see, new growers 10 to 14 days. Yeah, that was my point. That's kind of where I was like, yeah, you're kind of in the 2 week. Because I think if new growers tried to flip after 7 days, a lot of times they end up killing their plants because they're just not ready to flip the flower to make that transition. You guys remember the hardest part of the plant's life is, especially if they're sick or they're undersized, is trying to flip it into flower because the plant's going through such a rapid change going into the stretch. So it's one of those things where if the plant is not ready for it, this is why everybody used to really this was one of the main problems that people had, and where Grow Boss used to constantly say, 85% of people never get to flower whenever they're doing this. They kill their plants because the plants were so sick, they would flip into flower, and they usually got to about week 2.5 of flower, and the plants would all die. And people would try this one time, it would happen. They'd try it another time, it happened, then they'd sell all their equipment on Craigslist, and they'd go right back to the dispensary. And that's the way it worked because the plants were not ready to go through that change of what they had to do to go into flower because they were just sick. And you can't take a sick plant into flower. Or you can't take a plant that's not ready because a new person, generally they abuse them because they don't know any better yet. That's not a big deal. You just have to be prepared for it. I've been talking fast. I missed you guys. That's all. Oh, my nose is all messed up from inhaling smoke. It's not the right kind of smoke, though. It was from the racetrack. You get all that burnt rubber smoke in my nose. It's all messed up today. A lot of great info here. Show that love and gently tap the like button. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Wichita Autopot water system, they work just great. It's us people, it's growers that mess them up. I just did one with what's the name of that? I did one with the Air Cube systems. They worked great. Coals were huge. Everything worked great. I had a 60-gallon res that attached to it, which was fantastic. I would just change the water out once a week, fill it with nutrients. Went through a lot of nutrients, filling up 60 gallons or treating 60 gallons, so that wasn't fun. I went through more nutrients. That's one of the reasons I don't keep growing with it because of the amount of nutrients. Maybe if you had a smaller reservoir, it wouldn't be as big a deal, but I had a lot of plants to take care of. Oh, I need some more wooberry. Well, you would probably need to get on that sooner rather than later. I think I just went under 100 packs of that left, and we don't have any coming up on the horizon anytime soon. So I think of wooberry, I'm under 100 packs left, which means technically it won't ever be offered in the sale again because once they go under 100 packs, once it goes basically under like 500, I don't even ever talk about it anymore because there's so few of it remaining. But I think there's like 90 something left. But I know it just went under 100 the other day. Hey, Joe, send me a message I know you're not on the membership page right now. Send me an email at tothegrow10@gmail.com. That's the number 2, thegrow10@gmail.com. I'll get you hooked up, brother. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button. Hey, thanks, Trip. Guys, if you want Woodbury, you VIPs know what you're doing. Head over to the merch store. It's got some stuff in it at the moment. Guys, you know where the merch store is. You're a VIP member. I would highly recommend you do it. You can find me over at WTTGT. I can't tell you the last things that come after that because we don't give out links. If you want to figure out where it is, if you can't find us at WTTGT, you can always send me an email at tothegrow10@gmail.com. That's the number 2, thegrow10@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to point you the way. Trust me when I say you want to join any of the VIP memberships, there's no other deal like it anywhere on the internet. And you get to hang out with me every day if you want. It's like having me in your grow room with you when you're trying to make all these hard decisions. How awesome would that be to have a professional grower, one of the best growers on YouTube, sit there in your grow with you with no judgment and just tell you what to do, when to do it, and how you can get better faster. That's what happens over at the membership page over at WTTGT. All right, it's infomercial over. Any tips for growers using ProMags? I feel like I'm going crazy trying not to overwater it, while also trying not to underwater. Yeah, so you're added a degree of difficulty over just using like the Fox Farms. So the Fox Farms has a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Predictable. That's it. A very predictable way of drying. And generally, unless you've got your watering down to a T, because what you're trying to learn is the weight of the bucket when it's time for you to water. The little trick I tell you where you're going to completely water till runoff, then you're going to count the number of days until the plant droops. Eventually, you will get to the point where you don't have to do that anymore. You will get to the point where you can pick the bucket up and you can tell by the weight the plant needs to be watered, because if I wait till tomorrow, the plant will start to droop. We don't want them to droop because it hurts the roots. And then the plant has to spend time rebuilding the roots that you just killed before it can start growing the top of the plant. So you slow them down, or as we call it, you have stunted them. You have slowed them down. The trick of it is to learn the weight before they droop. And as soon as you learn this, you can put them into any media that you want, and you can tell just by picking the bucket up when they need to be watered. The way I teach you to do this is you water the plant you wait till the plant droops, water the plant till complete runoff, all the soil is saturated, and then you count the number of days until it droops again. You said, and then you pick the bucket up. Pick the bucket up at day 11. The plant's droopy. Great. Pick the bucket up. Okay, I know this is too light. This is too light. You can actually probably just pick it up with one finger because they're so light. I know this is too light. So this is wrong. I need it to be heavier than this. But you now know if I water till runoff, it takes the plant 11 days before it needs water again. So what are you going to do? After you water, you're going to count the days again. And then when you get to 10, you're not going to let it get to 11. Because you know if it gets to 11, it's going to droop. So what do you do? What do you do? You pick it up on day 10. Hey, this is the weight I'm looking for. If I let it get to this weight, I know tomorrow they will droop. But today, they are still vibrant. They are still happy. This is the weight I want to burn into my memory. And eventually, it will get to the point where you don't have to wait for them to droop to figure out what your day before is. You can just pick up the pot and be like, oh, these are going to need water. If I don't water them, they'll be droopy tomorrow. And then you have just learned your most important lesson, because you will never overwater again and you will never underwater again, because both are equally as bad. And once you master that part of this, everything else is easy. Everything else about this plant is easy. if you're ever stuck on anything, you ever need help with anything, all you have to do is message me. Even if you're not on my membership page, I'm a big dumb idiot who puts his email out on the internet. tothegrowtent@gmail.com. That's the number 2, thegrowtent@gmail.com, and I'll help you. Now, since I am a big dumb idiot that's been putting his email out on videos for a decade, I get a lot of emails every single day. Generally, it's about 1,000. So if I miss your email, you'll be like, that jerk GT, he said send him an email and he never responded to me. I probably just didn't see it. Wait a couple days, send another one. Or if you want to make sure you get a hold of me, head over to WTTGT. All right, boys and girls, thank you all for hanging out with me. I have missed you guys so freaking much. I cannot believe it's been a freaking hour already. But I'm going to be racing tomorrow out at Worldwide Technology Raceway. So if you're in the area, come out, hang out, see me. I'll be in a silver truck with a silver trailer with a blue Mustang. If you can find me, come hang out. Come hang out. Come talk. I might put you to work on the race car. Worldwide Technology Raceway. Racing starts at 11. All right. I love each and every one of you guys. You guys are freaking family to me, and I consider every single one of you friends. You want to hang out with me more? Your buddy GT, head over to WTTGT. I'll see you guys later. Everybody hope we all have a blessed weekend. Enjoy the extra long holiday. Remember what it was for. Thank you all for your service if you served, and thank you to the ones that gave their life for this country. I'll see you guys later. GT, I'm out of here.